part of the reason I came to Portland again was because I had spent time backpacking in Europe, and I was able to bike there a lot, and I just fell in love with that lifestyle, and I realized I didn't want to live in a city that I couldn't bike in. So there really were very few options. It was like Minneapolis, but it's too cold, Portland, and that was about it. I think the easiest way to describe the greenways are just roads that cars can still use, but which have been kind of deemed bike roads by the city. And they've done that through painting, the bike symbols on the ground, by blocking traffic with certain kinds of barriers at certain intersections so that cars feel less inclined to do that. They've promoted these greenways, on things like Google Maps and with maps that you can get from the city that show which roads are greenways. And it's really just a way to say to bikers, if you're going to be biking across the city, these are the roads for you. Try to use these roads if you can. We've set the infrastructure up as best as we can for you to use this path. I moved to Portland specifically because I wanted a city that I could bike in, so it is crucially important to me. I grew up in the Midwest where you have to drive everywhere. I despise that. I feel like driving is I don't want to say inhumane, but it just feels like it takes me out of what it means to be human in a way. It's a stressful experience. It's a boring experience. I don't find it invigorating. I'm not getting a workout. There's nothing about it that really speaks to me. And for me, biking is exhilarating. It makes me feel like a kid again. It makes me get exercise when I'm doing things I would do, so it's keeping me healthy. And especially living in urban environments, it also means I don't have to mess with parking tickets, I don't have to mess with car repairs, I don't have to use gas. There's so many aspects of having a proper infrastructure for biking that is crucial to what I would consider a good lifestyle. So for me, the greenways are extremely important. I think there's a greater understanding in Portland that when you're on a road that has the bike symbol on it, that you should be more kind or give some leeway to people who are on bikes. I think you're going to have people who come from other places where biking isn't as common and popular, and they will ignore that and not really care. And then the unfortunate part is you always have people who are just stressed while driving, and they don't care where they are. They want to get where they're going, and if you're a biker, you're an obstacle, and I think they see you as an obstacle that's kind of an annoyance more than just another person who's going about their commute, because you've chosen to go at a slower pace while they're trying to go fast. So you're extra annoying. So I think there is an understanding, but I think you're always going to have people who don't really care. I think my greatest challenge with the greenways would just be that they can sometimes be not the most optimal path. The cars are an annoyance, but I don't feel like I run into a lot of issues with the cars. The hardest part for me is just that sometimes it is easier to go on a main street, and there aren't enough greenways to actually get you to where you want to go without needing to go onto a busier street. And there's some issues where I don't know if the infrastructure is fully where it needs to be to help control the flow of traffic, because there's a lot of places where bikers have their issue with this. If you give us a greenway, we think we own the road, literally. So if you cross a busy street, mini bikes, and it's happening behind us right now, will just go without stopping, right? But they are at a place where cars are trying to go as well, and it's a bit reckless for the bikers. Part of that is the infrastructure, I think, is that it's not really set up fully for the bikes to go through there in a safe way. And that conversation needs to evolve, I think, for the greenways, is how do we make sure that when they are going through busy areas, there is some sense of safety and understanding in terms of how this flow of traffic is going to play out. I don't know some of that's human nature, I don't know how that's resolved, but I think that is a challenge, is the inability to get some places on a greenway, and the difficulties with heavily populated spots where there's a lot of car traffic. I think one of the easiest things is to use kind of like the barriers and kinds of things that they have set up on various streets now that stop the flow of cars coming through, that turn them kind of into one-way roads or something like that. And I think that just helps people realize that this isn't a road that you use to just cross through if you're a car, right? And I think that alone would kind of promote this idea that this is a road for bikes. And bikers would therefore use it more, and cars would use it less. And I think that overall, it just increases the safety. And you know, maybe there's some things to be done with infrastructure along the way too. Like, this is a small one, but I would love to see some like bike shops, maintenance areas, some things set up, because you know, getting a flat when you're on a 2, 3, 4 mile bike ride and not having anywhere to easily get to is a pain. So it'd be, I think, amazing if you knew there were places along the green paths that you could go if something happened with your bike. But that's a luxury. Just simple tool stations. I mean, nothing doesn't have to be like a shop, but just a place where you know you can go tinker, where it has the things you need. Maybe there are tubes you can buy through a vending machine or something. In general, my favorite experience with the Greenway is just the fact that I feel very carefree. Those moments where you just kind of want to stand up on your bike and throw your hands out, and you're going under all of these trees. They are literally greenways in Portland often. You know, it's often a tree canopy over top of you, and it just feels very liberating. That feeling, I think, is all the time. So, it's almost always meaningful in that sense. A lot of the other experiences are things like Pedalpalooza rides where you're with friends, or non-Pedalpalooza rides where you're with friends, and you just feel like you're at that peaceful pace where you're like, my friends and I are on a summer day, we're riding a bike, we're kind of having fun, we're going at our own pace, and it just feels very honest, you know, and knowing that you don't have to deal with the cars going by you, it just feels very fulfilling. One of the important things about the bike paths as well that we often overlook is a sense of community. There's something about having people not inside cars that allows you to kind of be more human. Even when I'm just waiting at a light or a stop sign and I'm next to somebody on a bike, there's a momentary exchange there that kind of makes me feel more part of a community. And also things like where we are right now, we're surrounded by a lot of street bar seating, restaurant seating, and it's along the bike path. And something about seeing these kind of areas just makes me feel like I'm a part of the community. You know, being able to sit down and watch people bike to work, watching them commute in this healthy way is inspiring. Or biking by them. When I'm biking by people on the side of the road, having lunch or dinner or something, watching them have their drinks and have a good time and enjoying life, it makes me feel like I'm part of a group that enjoys life. So I think there's something about taking away those barriers that a car brings and the speed that a car brings and bringing you back down almost to like that human community level, that for me is really important. I think we're wired to move our bodies.
Yeah.
So the beautiful thing about biking, in my opinion, is that you get the best of both worlds. You can get somewhere quicker and you get to move your body. So rather than sitting doing something that I don't think is natural for us, or rather than walking, which is very slow in this modern world, you get this really happy balance between the two where you can get there pretty quick, oftentimes quicker than cars, especially in Portland. I did that all the time, biking, and you get the exercise.